a new series I'm doing. It's called Innovative Japa and Japada for professionals and entrepreneurs, right? So it's gonna be an interesting series, and I would love you guys to share and invite as many people as possible. And it's something for people of color who are migrating. For those of you who may not know what Japa is, maybe you're Ghanaian or Cameroonian, or you're from Zimbabwe or South Africa. Japa is a term in Nigeria, particularly in the Yoruba tribe, that just means, live in a hurry. And it's now a slogan used to describe people living in Nigeria for greener pasture. Okay, but I know I have a wider audience across Africa. But the conversation is, if you want to migrate from Africa to the Western world, how do you do it in an innovative way as a professional or as an entrepreneur? So welcome everyone. I'd like to know your name and the city you're joining me from. And I would love you to invite as many people. Now, at the end of each series, I will be taking questions. I'll be taking questions, whatever question you have about this topic, about the challenges you may be facing. I'm aware that a good number of those who will be part of this topic have already Japad, right? Remember the word Japa again. So I'm aware that a good number will be watching have already traveled. They are already out of Africa. But the part of the reason for it is to also help those who have already traveled as well as those who are about to travel. For those who have traveled, how do you still figure out a way to be on track based on what should have been done before you left that you didn't do? And for some people, maybe you need to Japada. That's why we also put the Japada, meaning Japada is now when you choose to return back to Africa, even though you left Africa before. But I promise it's going to be life-changing, it's going to be impactful. So I have Olawale from Lagos, I have David from Nigeria, I don't know where Nigeria. I have Antoniette from Vancouver, Canada. I have Franklin from Fargo, ND. Where's ND, by the way? Okay, some of you put this abbreviation as if all of us know what country you are in. I have Trader Ferd from Obafemi Awolowo University. I have Tosin from Akure. Who else is here? Again, remember, share this video. Invite as many people as possible. Let's get so many people. Today, I have 3 points on Japa, things to do. This is like an introductive session. Not decoder. Okay, welcome from that decoder. I have that Wu from Adamawa, Duncan from Adamawa, Blessing from MD, that should be Maryland, Idris from New Jersey, Abuja. What's your name? So state your name and the city you're joining from. But are you guys ready for me today? If you're ready, type I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Are you ready for today's lecture? If you're ready, type I am ready, I am ready, I am ready. So I'm going to break the lecture into two. Part one, it will be focused on those of you who are entrepreneurs. Part two will be focused on those of you who are, part one will be focused on those of you who are professionals. You're a doctor, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, and all of that. Part two will be focused on those of you who are entrepreneurs. You own your business in Africa, and then you're migrating to the Western world. Okay? Thank you. A lot of you are ready. Let's go. So before you Japa, remember, plan minimum 2 years in advance. Okay, before you decide to leave Africa for Western world, you need minimum 2 years planning. Some people will probably claim I've Japad, right? Because I now spend more time. I used to spend more time in Dubai. I lived in Dubai for 3 years, and now I'm living more in the US because of our $200 million real estate expansion here in the US. Okay, so some people might say Japa, and I'm not even gonna argue with you. But you are aware my Dubai expansion, I started visiting Dubai 2015 and I only moved to Dubai 2020. So that means I spent 5 solid years to plan. Okay, 5 solid years. I started coming to the US as well, 2015. I can only say I moved to the US this year. That I bought an house in the US and I spent more time in the US. I will learn it by the way. For learning type, I'm learning. You need to spend at least 2 years planning your relocation. Let me share the story with you. A true story. I had this person, I know her in person. She was in Nigeria. She had 3 kids, but she went through a brutal divorce. And at night when she's calling her brother, complaining, her brother will keep saying, assuming you're in the US, all this nonsense will not happen. And he kept talking US, US, US. So one day they were talking and he said, why not come? Come to the US. What's the big deal? Come. And the brother had been in the US for many, many years. He's forgotten how we do things in Africa or in Nigeria. He probably in his mind, he thought the sister would just maybe visit, right, and test the ground. But you know what the sister did? She sold her car. She packed up her printing business, everything. Okay, bought the last set of tickets, and boom, she was in Atlanta, Georgia. And the brother was practically shocked to his bones when he saw her and 3 kids. Of course, managed to keep her for about a month. One day he told her, I'll pack your things, put them in the car, I'm taking you somewhere with your kids. And then she entered his car, and then he got to this motel and said, here's your new house. I've paid for 1 week. And he reminded her, he said, this is America. They don't owe rent here, right? I've paid for 1 week. The rest is up to you. Literally, this woman literally started selling beans, to, a particular group of Nigerians who do car business. I mean, she had to figure out a way. She had 3 kids. She's already divorced in Nigeria. But do you know these are some of the best stories you can hear about migrating? Some people have found it way worse. There was a story of a young man whose friend kept telling him, come, what's wrong? Come to America. And then he came. And, he's in his mind, he wanted to just maybe spend a week and then just test ground. And he was smart that he did that. Some people would just pack everything. But as soon as the man opened the window and saw the car drive and he was trying to bring out his bag, it was in the night. His friend off the light in the house. He could literally see the friend. He knocked the door for minutes. The friend refused to open the door and he knew the friend was there. Thank God he had enough money, had to, order Uber again, move to an hotel, and the friend did not even speak to him from that day till today. So do not think because people are nice to you on phone. How many of you, by the way, who are watching here have already Japada? Just type I Japada, be honest with me, okay? How many of you, watching this have already relocated, right? You no longer live in Africa, right? Just type I have Japad. I just want to see those of you. Now, what I just shared now, how many of you it has happened to you or you've heard of people that it happened to? Just type, I'm a witness or it happened to me, right? I just want to be sure that we have at least a few people who can relate to what I'm sharing, right? How many of you here, this has happened to you or you can relate to it, where people made it look as if come relocate to the Western world, just come over. Only when you got to meet them, when you traveled, they either abandoned you, they did not pick your call anymore, they did not even respond. How many of you have either it has happened to you or you've heard it happen to people? Okay, so, but trust me, it can be that bad. So I tell people, plan your Japa minimum 2 years in advance, right? Now, the next thing, and this is for professionals, the next thing is number 2, get the certification needed before you leave. In other words, what kind of job do you want to be doing? You're going to Canada, or you're going to the UK, or you're going to the US. What kind of job? I want to be an accountant. I want to be a nurse, right? Whatever job, get the certification. Let me say this, and this is very, very important. Okay, please take note of this. Are you aware certifications are more important than degrees in the Western world? If you're aware, type I'm aware. If you're not aware, type I'm not aware. Let me repeat it again. Are you aware certifications, okay, will give you a higher pay than college degree, than another master's, another PhD? If you're aware, type I'm aware. If you're not aware, type I'm not aware. And a lot of our people make these mistakes. An average certification, right, will just take you 3 months. The toughest or longest ones will take you maybe 6 months. Certification. Okay, certification. I'll give a practical example of somebody who went to university together. And I visited New York. And here was in New York, hawking ticket. A graduate, I think he even had his master's at that point. A whole very educated man was having to sell all these tickets for you to tour Manhattan. And I remember having to say, what's going on here? I linked him up with another gentleman who also went to SU. And that one said to him, he said, oh no, you can't continue like this. Here, I know you didn't study engineering, but here's a link. You can go do a certification in 3 months on maybe iron rebar. So a lot of the construction that goes on in Manhattan. And that course, once you are certified, means you will now be like an inspector to check that, the construction, the metal works are done properly. And this is not a joke. This guy moved from barely making $1,500 every month, okay, to now earning over $15,000 every month. Yes, you heard me. $15,000 every month. A certification in construction that he did not even study construction. And I'm talking of in Manhattan. Okay? Some people will come to the Western world and they're thinking of another master's, another PhD. This Western world is not the same as Africa. It's not the same. In Africa, yes, all these degrees are very important. They mean a lot. But here, companies are looking at, okay, I'll give a practical example. How many of you noticed that you do not even need a university degree to work in tech, okay? To get an IT job in America, for example. How many of you are aware? If you're aware, type I'm aware. You just need a certification in some of the ERP softwares, okay? And once you can operate all these ERP softwares, then you can get an IT job. If you know what I'm saying, type I know. Meanwhile, you can even hold a PhD and still be jobless in America. And literally a PhD in IT. Google is not going to employ you. Facebook is not going to employ you, except you can operate their enterprise resource system. Right? So, meaning you just being able to get a certification in some of these enterprise resource systems, right? ERP of these big multinationals is then what qualifies you to be able to work for them. And they don't even care which degree you have or you don't have. Are we learning, guys? If you're learning type, I'm learning. You see why I say you should share this video with a lot of people and get more people to come here and learn, right? Very important. I was in Geneva December last year, and I met a lot of Nigerians struggling. The Geneva literally is the headquarters of a lot of these multilateral organizations, right? And a lot of them have just come, I've come for masters, I've come for this. I said, what's going on? I said, my parents insisted I must do my PhD, I must do my masters. And yet, I met some of them, okay, I just finished my masters, but there's no job. I had to call one of them and say, are you aware you need to actually just go get a certification? And in Geneva, which is Switzerland, it's even more serious. They are very strict about those certifications because it's a highly regulated EU nation. Okay, and most people don't know this about the EU as well, because the EU is highly regulated. So even when it comes to accounting, there are specific type of accounting software that if you don't know how to use them and you've not got a certification in them, nobody will employ you as an accountant. Even though you have a master's in accounting, you have a PhD in accounting, you have a degree in accounting. They need you to have the specific certification in that software. And for them, it's because that is what then makes them compliant. Else they could be fined by the regulators that they have employed people who don't have the certification in the latest software that those countries require that these companies should be using. Okay? So, number one, make sure you plan your Japa minimum 2 years in advance. Number two, get certification in the area of work that you want to do when you eventually Japa. Get a certification in it. Don't tell me, but Dr. Stephen, you know, I have PhD in accounting. Nobody cares. Oh, Dr. Stephen, don't you understand? In Nigeria, I have masters. In the rarest, nobody cares. Or in Ghana, I have this masters. In Zimbabwe, I'm the first person to have this type of PhD. Nobody cares. Certification. Can everybody just type certification here, please? Type certification. And the beauty about certification is that you can do them online. You can do them from wherever you are in the world. You don't need to have relocated before you do these certifications. Okay? Can everybody just type certification? I want you to sink in. Please, everybody just type it. Certification. Just so that you can sink in very well in our mindset and we just get used to this. One of my very good friend I've been interviewing recently is the most certified cybersecurity expert in the whole of Africa. He has over 50 certifications. Are you aware that even though this man owns his business in Nigeria, the US government has invited him to come and train their people on cybersecurity? Can you believe that? You know why? He has some of the latest certifications in some of the most ridiculous areas of cybersecurity. Come on, are we learning at all? So different US government departments have had to bring my friend from Nigeria to come and train them in Washington. Purely because, when they Google those who have this particular certification in the world, he has them. He has over 50 cybersecurity certifications. In fact, last time I was meeting him, he said, I say I have this new certification I need to do. It's $15,000. I have this other new certification I need to do. It's $20-something thousand. And today, everybody works with him. Even in Nigeria, CBN, everybody are his clients just because of certification. So, before you Japa, ladies and gentlemen, get certification in the area of your work. Okay? I'll give you an example. Dr. Stephen, I'm a nurse. Yes, thank God for that. But can you still get certification in nursing? Okay? Still go and get certification in nursing. Do it online. Okay? it will give you a better edge when you relocate outside of Africa. Are we learning? If we're learning, type I'm learning, and this is good. Come on. If this is good, type this is good. Remember to invite more people. Come on, let's get hundreds of people here. Because these are things people will not tell you. Okay? And it's the reason why some of our people relocate and they struggle. Right? How many of you have had some of the most horrible experiences when you relocated? Because I know most of you watching me are no longer in Africa. You've already Japada. Okay? But how many of you have had some of the most ridiculous experiences? I mean, I've heard all manner. I've heard stories of people who had to convince their wife to marry somebody else legally just to get documents. I've heard stories of people who literally, in the day of the interview, true story, the arranged marriage guy insisted he must have sex with the arranged wife. And the husband convinced his wife to do it, that, we've been struggling, we've been waiting for this document. And then immediately she did it and they got their papers. He divorced the same woman on the basis of adultery. Right? So you will hear all manner of it. And at some point we'll talk some of these stories and we'll go into immigration proper. Right? Because immigration is one of the easiest things to sort out. Every country wants you to be in their country as long as you're going to add value. Okay? But you see, if you don't just have certain simple information, you're going to struggle. I know somebody who visited America, okay, on a visitor's visa, and then they stamped for her to be here for 6 months. And within that 6 months, she got approval, okay, for green card. And of course, got her indefinite stay while waiting for her green card to come. You heard me. In 6 months. Because she had the right information on the visa type she needed to apply for in America. Okay? So, information is everything. And in this Japa series, I may end up turning to a book. There's so much to learn. Are you ready for number 3? If you're ready for number 3, type I'm ready, I'm ready. For those of you just joining us, this is Innovative Japa or Japada for professionals and entrepreneurs. And it's a series, and this is part 1. We're looking at educating our people who are planning to leave Africa or have left, and how to do it in an innovative way that is decent, that will not rob you of your dignity. I get upset, I get angry when I see Africans who have had to migrate in the most ridiculous manner, in the most inhumane manner, in a way that rob people of their dignity. I get really upset about it. So are you ready for number 3? And the number 3 is for professionals. So the first 3 I've shared is mainly for those of you who are professionals. Then I will take another 5 points for those of you who are entrepreneurs in being innovative about your Japa or Japada. Okay? Number 3, save enough to pay for rent for it 16 months together your base. Save enough to pay your rent for 16 months. Do you know one of the major problems for many migrants is accommodation? How many of you know what I'm talking about? If the fact that you come to this part of the world, and this is really the problem, and every bill is a 30-day cycle, it's one of the major reasons why some people, and it has created almost some form of shame for some people. Okay? Some type of shame of some sort for a lot of our people who relocated, who end up feeling they are having to do things they are not proud of. Okay, how many of you have had to do things you are not proud of? Okay, or you've met people who had to do things they were not proud of when they relocated out of Africa? Come on, who can relate? Okay, how many of you had that experience for yourself, or you knew people who had to do those things, right? Where they had to do things they are not proud of just to pay bills, just to, Uncle Sam, needs you to pay your bills. He's not joking with you, right? Every 30 days, you have to pay your tax. You have to pay your mortgage. You have to pay bills. And these bills force you to do 3 jobs. I mean, I know people who literally can't see their children after they relocated abroad because they had to do 2 jobs to pay the bills, right? And what this advice will do when you have 16 months of your rent or you've already bought your house, what it does is that it gives you ability to choose. It gives you the opportunity to make the decision and say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to live below a particular standard. I'm not going to lower my standards, right? I don't know if you have heard the word, America will humble you. If you've heard of that word type, I've heard of it. Okay, if you've not, of course, that's okay. If you've heard of that word, America will humble you. Of course, I'm sure those in Canada too, here, Canada will humble you. Those of you in UK too, probably say London will humble you, right? Now, what people simply just mean is that the system, forces you to lower your standards, right? To lower your standards. And why are you having to lower your standard? Because many people just relocate without having enough resources, okay, to at least help them to stabilize while they're figuring out what career, what job, how they're going to, work their life out. So, but if you have one, planned this for 2 years before you leave, gotten the certification before you leave, if you're a professional, you make sure you get enough of your rent to cover for 16 months. And if possible, you just pay it in advance. All this just gives you peace of mind, calmness, rest, and you can make your decision. Right? I, got a 3.3 acre property here in the US. Okay, I'm alone in my house, massive. It's practically a ranch, and it gives me peace of mind. Okay, I remember I did a video shoot one time, and the guy who came to do the shoot, when he came to my house and saw how beautiful my house is and how big it was, you know what he said to me? He said, Dr. Steven, you don't need to be paying me per job. Okay? Can we do this long term? And you just pay me bulk at once. And I remember saying to the person who introduced him to me, I said, if you didn't come to my house and see how big and successful I am, he wasn't going to extend that level of credit to me. Are you aware that by just being financially stable, you will just begin to access some things, right? There are certain favors, certain credit you're just going to be getting that you wouldn't have gotten. Okay, but just by the virtue of people see that you're comfortable. I don't know if you have experienced this or you know what I'm talking about. That when people see in the Western world that you are comfortable, there are certain credit, there are certain favors, there are certain extensions they're going to give to you. There are certain way they will treat you way different. Okay, I do property business here in the US, and I've gotten so many concessions because the property seller Googled my name. If I remember one property we bought for $1.6 million. And when I met the seller was just shouting, oh, you're a celebrity. You have a Forbes, your bio is on Forbes. Oh, you big. I'm talking to a celebrity. If I was ready to take picture, it was a paparazzi event. Why? And everything I kept asking for, he was just saying, no problem. Anything for you, Dr. Steven. Anything for you, Dr. Steven. Anything for you, Dr. Steven. You know why he was doing all of that? Because he did his research about who I was, and he saw that I was very successful. Okay? So there are certain things people didn't do for you in America or in Canada or UK because they didn't see you as being very financially stable. Are we learning, guys? Are we learning? So they stereotyped you. They just looked at you. I have seen situations where people who did not Google me, I knew how they treated me just because I was black. Meanwhile, those who Google me, even though they were white, because they Googled me and they saw how successful I am, they treated me totally differently. So it's important to structure yourself by the time you are relocating so that you can be comfortable enough to be treated with dignity and respect. Are we learning, guys? Again, if you're learning type, I'm learning. If you're learning type, I'm learning. So, welcome to part B of the training. And I want to focus more on those of you who are going to Japa as entrepreneurs. Okay, and those of you just joining us, we're looking at innovative Japa or Japada for professionals and entrepreneurs. And I've used part 1 to talk about those of you who are professionals, you're relocating to get a job. But in this part B, I want to focus on those of you who are entrepreneurs. How many of you are entrepreneurs here? Okay, you run a business. Can you type me? If you're an entrepreneur, you own your business, you run a business in Africa, and you want to migrate, or you've already migrated, but you still are an entrepreneur. Can you just type me, or type I'm an entrepreneur? I just want to see the number of population who are joining us who are entrepreneurs. Okay, how many of you own your business? Cheta Street. Okay, you're an entrepreneur. That's good to know. Who else is here and is an entrepreneur? Whether you're still back in Africa and you're planning to relocate, or you've already relocated. Don Mira is an entrepreneur. Harold Farm is an entrepreneur. Gap Trend is an entrepreneur. Deep Bros 01 is an entrepreneur. Leia One Gadget is an entrepreneur. Beautiful. So I can see some of you are entrepreneurs here. So let's get into it. For you that you're an entrepreneur, number 1, make sure your business has a universally sellable product. Everybody type universally sellable product. I want everybody to type it. Number 1, universally sellable product. One of the major problems people face when they choose to Japa or migrate is that the product they were selling back in Africa, it cannot be sold in the new country that they visited or they've relocated to. One of the biggest edge that I have been able to expand to Dubai and then expand to the US, the edge is that I sell a product that's universally needed, universally sellable, universally scalable. I'm into real estate. You need housing the same way you need it in Africa, the same way you need it in Europe, the same way you need it in North America, the same way you need it in Asia. It's the same thing. It's universally needed. It's universally sellable. It's universally scalable. Right? So if you, and some of you, and that's why we say you need to take time before you relocate. So some of you might need to change your product type to a different one before you relocate, so that the product type you're even dealing with to start with is the one that can then still expand to the UK, or expand to Canada, or expand to Dubai, or expand to... And I've seen this happen. I've seen people who are successful entrepreneurs. I know a man successful in Nigeria as a real estate guy, moved to Dubai. Things got so bad. They are owing terribly. They literally have to be doing driving job. I mean, ridiculous kind of job. Security man, all manner. And it was just simply because they did not structure their business in a way before they left for Dubai in such a way that it can still be sold in the country that they've migrated to or moved to. Okay? Are we learning, guys? Right? So, very, very important. Have a universally needed product. Whether you're going to relocate or not, have a universally needed product, because there's nothing wrong whether you're relocating or not. Like I told you, I won't say I've relocated, but I've had to move to Dubai for 3 years to grow our business there. And now I'm in US to grow our business in the US. I don't know where else I'll move to. Maybe it can be Asia. I will just move to China after another 3 years to go expand our business there. So what I'm teaching you, whether you want to relocate or not, is needed for you to plan global expansion, right? And that's the right way, because I've seen people run a successful business in Africa, and then they relocated and then had to pick up a job. And then they hate the job they are doing. They hate what they're having to do. They hate themselves. I've had people come pick me up, as Uber drivers. And when they get to know I'm a Nigerian and they see the kind of house I live in, without me asking them questions, they just start telling me stories I didn't even ask them for. Oh, Dr. Steven, I used to be a very big man in Nigeria. I used to be very big. Don't look at me the way, you see, it's just the situation of things. I'm not proud of this job, but alhamdulillah, but in Nigeria, I was big. And then they keep, recounting how big they are, the story of who they are. And I'm like, but I didn't ask you this question. I'm not even judging you by this job, right? But you could see deep down, they are not proud of who they are. They are not proud of what they're doing. Are we learning at all? Okay? And don't then join the gang, because I know those who have settled for less in the Western world. Have you met some of them? Okay? Maybe you're even one of them and you're watching this. How many of you have met people who have settled for less in the Western world? Who the only testimony they're sharing is that I moved to America 20 years ago. We thank God. I just want to thank God this is my 20th year in America. What have you achieved in 20 years? They have nothing to show. But the only thing is that they have moved to America. Some others, the testimony is that, thank God for me, this is my 10th year, I finally got my green card. Now, you got your green card, but what have you been able to do with your life? Being an American citizen is not an achievement. Being a Canadian citizen is not an achievement. Being a UK citizen is not an achievement. It is when you're able to build something that makes you successful that you can look at yourself and say, I'm proud of my achievement. I'm proud of the goals that I set and being able to achieve those goals. That is when you can say, yes, we're successful and it was a good move to have relocated in the first place. But to relocate and literally become a second-class citizen doesn't make sense. I got somebody to pick me up the other day as an Uber driver, and he happened to be a Nigerian. You know the first question he asked me? He said, do they allow black people live here? Because I live in, by the way, the estate I live, I'm the only black guy in the entire estate. Okay? And it's, of course, it's those acreage homes. Average home is 3 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, kind of. When you enter, you just know this is for the wealthiest type of people. And so the first question is like, do they allow black people live here? And I'm like, why wouldn't they allow black people live here? Why wouldn't they allow black people live in anywhere in the world? As long as you can afford to buy the house, you can live anywhere in the world. And I couldn't believe that somebody who lives in America is asking me that kind of question of, do they allow black people live in a particular wealthy neighborhood in America? But that tells you that being in America or being Canada, being the UK, does not mean your mind is renewed. You can still be living Nigeria in America. You can practically be physically be in Canada, okay? But mentally, you are in a remote location in Africa. And you've limited yourself, you've limited what you can be, who you can be, what you can achieve. You're still, in a way, living practically as a modern slave in a Western world. May God deliver every one of us from such predicament. Can I get an amen? Because I see so many people finding themselves in that, and I just get really, really upset when I see that. Number 2, if you're going to Japa as an entrepreneur, attend seminars and do courses about your business in the country you're relocating to before you actually relocate. Before I moved to America, before I moved my business to America, like I said, I won't say I moved to America. It's my business that has moved, and I just needed to be here for the period I'm growing the business. I need to get a CEO and all of that. But are you aware that I had to do 2-year course in Harvard University on real estate investment, even though I was already a billionaire in the real estate sector in Nigeria? Okay, I was doing multi-million-dollar deals in Dubai, yet I had to do a Harvard University course for 2 years to understand real estate in America. In particular, I had to pay Grant Cardone over $250,000 for various things, courses, programs, including Cardone University, to train my own staff. Okay? Years before I then expanded our business to the US. So when people started hearing Dr. Steven is buying 99 acres, is doing 89 housing units, is doing a $200 million project, they're like, what's going on? But this guy just officially moved to America, just officially moved his business. Why is he able to do something that big? Hey, listen. Your wealth is a function of the quality of information you operate with. Yes. Wealth and poverty is just a function of information. What you don't know is your senior. You can only grow at the pace of the quality of information you operate with. That's why I don't ever joke with knowledge. You can't attach a price to knowledge. What you don't know is your senior. Okay? Any day, anytime, whether you like it or not. What you don't know is your senior. So, but the program I had to do, it cost me money. And that's why I said, don't rush. Because it's easy for all my other businesses to sponsor those things before I ever moved to, So I've been able to see all where the opportunities are. I've been able to learn about how to negotiate. I've been able to learn about so many things that by the time we fully moved, man, we were a beast and everybody was just talking about us. It's either you respect what we're doing, or you become skeptical, or you hate me for daring too big. In fact, some Nigerians in the US, one of them literally sent me a message, said, I've been in America for 20 years, I've never been on TV. You practically just got here and you're already on TV stations in America. How did you do it? Wait, I need to understand, what exactly did you do? Hey, but I got knowledge. I got the right information. I invested in the right information. I paid my money to learn from those who have done it. I literally, Grant Cardone has done over $5 billion in real estate. I said, that's the guy I want to hear from. Because I'm not coming to America for just play. I'm here to build a multi-billion-dollar real estate portfolio here in America. And I want to show all my Black people it can be done. Okay? And being Black is not synonymous to lack. And that the fact that you're Black does not restrict you from building greatness. Racism, stereotype or not, you can still build a great empire if you choose to. And there's no excuse. Right? Except the one you accept and you place on yourself. There's no limitation except the one you accept and you place on yourself. What Donald Trump was able to achieve with the greatest political comeback in the history. How many Black people will believe in themselves in the way Donald Trump did? Literally, you have how many court cases? Practically you're going to jail. The sitting president of America was against you. His party was against you. The media was against you. Now, I'm not talking about whether he's white or Black. How many Black people will even be able to still think they can survive what Donald Trump went through? I mean, if you're a Black person, if they say you're done for, you just accept it. You just accept it and say, well, the system has come for me. But the audacity to even say, no, I'm not going down. I'm even going to still be the president of this country. That is the level of boldness, audacity that we need to begin to have as a people. If you agree with me, type I agree. Come on, talk to me. If you agree with me, type I agree. Number 3, if you're going to relocate as an African, okay, get mentors in your field with exceptional result in that country, right? So I want to ask a question. How many of you watching me tonight, okay, who are entrepreneurs and you've already relocated outside of Nigeria, got a mentor in your business who is at least $100 million in what? And you built a relationship with that person before you left Africa. Anybody like that? Okay? Anybody like that? You, before you left Africa, I'm talking of those of you who've left Africa, you've relocated already, and you relocated as an entrepreneur. Okay? And I want to ask you, how many of you who have relocated already got a business mentor? Okay, in Canada, in UK, or whatever country you relocated to, and the person was already worth $100 million, and you built a relationship with those people before you even left the country you were coming from. I did that. I did that with a man worth $5 billion before I left. Okay, so that if I have challenges, I can rush to him and say, Uncle G, this is my frustration. Of course, he's going to charge me. Yeah, I'm willing to pay. Right? I'm willing to pay. Because some of you, us, particular people of color, our problem is that we want people to teach us how they made money, but we don't want to pay them for teaching us. And it's one of the most selfish things to do. Or we want to dictate to them how much they should charge us. We want to convince them that they shouldn't charge us too much, that they should just do it for free. Now, if they've been doing everything for free, will they have been wealthy enough for you to even admire them? Well, isn't that an important question? If I, for example, Steve Nakita, have been doing everything for free, will I have built the kind of business I've built today that made some of you watching me to even be interested in listening to me and watching me and listening to what I have to say? Because many of you will not be watching this show if I didn't have results. If I've not built a, over $100 million worth of property portfolio across 4 continents, most of you watching me will not even be watching this, even though it's free. You're just going to say, what's the guy saying? Who is he? What has he achieved? Why does he want to teach us? What has he done for himself before he's saying he wants to teach us anything? Okay? But many of you are listening to this now because you've seen the result I've been able to achieve for myself. And you're saying, hey, I want that guy to teach me how he did it so that I can get the kind of result he has as well. But the reality remains, guys, that did you take your time to build a mentorship relationship? They know you, you know them. They're willing to support you. They're willing to root for you. They're willing to put things on the line to make sure you also succeed the way they've succeeded. How many of you have had to do that before you relocated? So please, if you're going to do innovative Japa or innovative Japada, you must first invest in getting a mentor who is minimum $100 million rich in the area of business that you are into. And convince them this is what you're trying to do and you need their help. How many of you will do this? If you will do this, just type, I will do this. Come on, I want you to engage me, guys. I don't like to just train and you're watching me and you're not contributing. If you're going to do this, can you type, I'm going to do this? Come on, talk to me. Everybody type, I will do this. I will do this. Okay? I will do this. Beautiful. Thank you, Harold Farm. Okay? I am New Life. Good. I'm happy to know you're going to do this. Because it then means my time is not a waste. You guys are not just listening to me and wasting my time. You will execute what I'm teaching you. Number 4, if you're going to Japa or Japada as an entrepreneur, is to build a market for your product in the new country before the product. Meaning, try to be the middleman. Try to be the middleman. Okay? Build a market for the product you intend to come and sell in this new country before you relocate. Okay? And try to be the middleman. I'll give you an example. Before I started real estate in Dubai, you know what I was doing? I became a real estate broker. I was a middleman selling real estate. Okay? And you know, what was very important for me was because I was a middleman, I had created product. I've created a market rather for product I've not yet created. And I was a middleman and I started generating income. I did the same thing for US. Before we started our own project, I was first marketing other people's product, other people's real estate here in the US as a middleman. Okay, before the $200 million project we are now doing for ourselves. Come on, are we learning, guys? If you're learning, just type I'm learning. So create the product. I've always shared this, that smart entrepreneurs create the market before the product. So create the market. Let me say that again. Smart entrepreneurs always create the market before the product. Many of us rush to, I'm selling water in Africa, right? So I'm going to come to the US and I'm going to sell water. Wait, no. Why not partner with Unilever, UK, and sell their water and say how many people are going to be ordering water from you before you then relocate and then start producing your own water and selling your own water? Because the process of being the middleman will have exposed you to creating the market, so you already have customers waiting to buy. It will have exposed you to regulation, will have exposed you to all the challenges of the business. So you kind of have an idea what you are coming into for. I've seen people who just relocate and decide to start selling whatever they were selling back in Africa, in the Western world. And boom, regulation finished them. And they were not prepared for it. Somewhere, let's say, for example, caterers. They were selling food back in Africa. They were successful, and they decided to relocate to the US. And before you know it, inspection people came and said, no, your kitchen is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And by the time they told them all that they need to put together, it was another $100,000 they don't have, and that was the end of their business. Some people, for example, and guess what? If they had come in, register their company, be the middleman, and start delivering foods, even if it's when they're on holiday, and say, hey, we now have, I'm just giving an example, Tasty Restaurants UK, right? It used to be Tasty Restaurants in Nigeria, Tasty Restaurant UK. And then they have a partner who can cook the food the way they used to cook in Nigeria. And whenever the person comes on holiday to the UK, says, hey, we are doing delivery of tasty food across London, right? This is the times, pay to this account, and then get the food from this other, fellow friend who is also into catering business, and then begin to deliver and see how that business goes. And then 1 year later, you can now come back and say, you know what, now we already have our own kitchen. And guess, I don't know if you also agree with me that they can easily build a mentorship relationship with that friend. Because I'm your friend does not mean I'm your mentor. I hope you know. How many of you have seen friends who were never willing to share their business secret with you? Come on, talk to me. That when it got to the point where you wanted to learn about what was helping your friend make good money, your friend was not willing to share it. I don't know if you have had that experience. If you have had it, just tell me. Where somebody was your friend, you believe you were good friends, you believe you were good. And it was only when you next started reaching out to say, oh, can you show me what you're doing? How can I do this? I want to start my own. And they just totally changed. They just changed totally. And I tell people the secrets to avoiding such experiences is simple. Pay them for mentorship or serve them for mentorship. Right? If I had been the middleman and I was bringing businesses for you, for 2 years when I come to the UK, even if you did not teach me, I will start noticing it. The day I come pick the food, right? I will notice how your kitchen is. I'll notice how you're preparing the meal. I will notice some of the safety and the certification, in your kitchen. It won't I will learn it here. Particularly if you learn by observation. I will begin to pick a thing or two and gradually begin to ask you a few questions. Okay? Because now you're serving them. Now you're bringing business to them. You didn't just come day one and say, yes, I'm ready to be your competitor. Because what we fail to realize, what that simple statement, even though it looks good, it looks like, oh, well, we are friends, they should open up to me. But what you are saying is that, hey, my friend, because you are my friend, I'm ready to be your competitor. Now help me to be your competitor. That's what you mean. And nobody wants to do that. No matter how much they love you, you can't just come and say you want to be my competitor and just like that. If you are going to add value to me, yes, I'm willing to show you. If you're going to serve me, I'm willing to show you. If you're going to pay me, I'm willing to show you. But you can't just come and just expect me to hand over my secret to you and then you go ahead and become a competitor in one way or the other. Okay? And then I should just do that out of good heart. Be nice. Being a good man. That is not how business works. I don't know if you are happy about this class. If you're happy about what you've learned from this class type, I'm really, really happy. And how many of you believe that obeying this will have prevented so much calamity a lot of people faced when they relocated? If some of you be honest, some of you have already relocated, if you have learned what I'm sharing, you won't have made some mistakes you made. If you're going to be honest. Number 5, on how entrepreneurs should Japa in an innovative way is save enough money to be able to expand your business in the new country without having to shut down the one in Africa. Okay? One of the things I've seen is a situation whereby a lot of Africans want to relocate from Africa and they practically will sell all the lands they have, the houses they have, they will sell the businesses they have, sell. I'm not saying they look for, and I keep wondering why we do that. And hey, I'm not talking of somebody who had a bad business, so that's all I'm saying. I'm talking about people who are good businesses. The business is doing well, but they are convinced to relocate, maybe because of their children, maybe because people told them Nigeria is not going to, the way Nigeria is going, something's going to go bad, or whatever reason. And I'm not here to judge you. But to then shut down a profitable business in Africa in the name of you want to relocate is one of the most unwise things to do, but yet we do it. We shut down our businesses and say, I'm going to Canada. You even see people say it with all confidence and say, well, I've left you guys in Nigeria. I've left you guys in Ghana. I've left you guys in South Africa. Well, you guys can go to hell. I'm going to Canada. And then you meet the same people 3 years in Canada. They were so successful. You admire them. You envy them when they were back in Africa. And you literally cannot believe the struggle they are going through. Even their marriages is a shamble. Are you aware the number one killer of marriage in the Western world, okay, has to do with money? If you agree with me, type I agree. Number one killer of marriages in the Western world has to do with money. Okay? And why that happened is because of some of what I'm teaching you here. Because many people will have shut down all the other options that can generate income for them and just move everything to the Western world. Right? And before you know it, they've lost their home, They've lost their joy. Even their health is in shambles. They've excessively gained weight. You know what I'm talking about? Excessively gained weight. People who didn't have diabetes before are now diabetic. Their children as well are gaining weight and not living healthy in the name of we want to relocate. So my advice, and that's what I have done. We have massive business in Nigeria today. Because some of you wonder, how did Dr. Stephen have business in 4 continents? We're in the UK, we're in Dubai, we're in Nigeria, and now we're in the US. And the answer is because I didn't shut down my African businesses because I was coming to Dubai. Now that I'm in the US, I didn't have to shut down Dubai business because I'm coming to the US. No, it's an expansion, right? Either I'll look for a partner and I'll sell a percentage equity. Everybody type equity. Come on, everybody type equity. Because this is something we also hate doing as people of color. Yes, we hate giving away a portion of our business. Okay? And I've always said this over and over again because people tell me, Stephen, you know the problem why I just had to sell all the business is because, you know what, if I leave this business with my cousins, with my family members, or with this, they're going to run it to the ground. Even when I try to do it, they run it to the ground. And that's true. They will run it to the ground because they will tell you this. Monkey they walk, baboon they chop. Have you heard of that word? Monkey they walk, baboon they chop. In other words, when you relocate, people feel you are now in America. They saw the big car that you took picture with, even though they didn't know it was mortgage. The big house, they didn't know it was mortgage, right? And the road, the pictures, everything looks as if you're already doing well. Now they are still grinding it for the business you gave them to be running for you in Africa. And before you know it, they stop being loyal because it was like, you know, you've come to America to have fun or UK to have fun, and they are still having to struggle. So what should you have done? Give them a portion of the business. Give them a percentage of the income. So it's either you call some of the best loyal guys to you and say, you know what? I'm willing to sell you 30% of this business. Go and bring me X amount of money. Go and raise it. Talk to your family members, talk to everybody, raise it. I'm going to make you a director and I'm going to sign off 30% of the business to you. And you now co-own this business with me. Right? That's something you can do. That's something you can do. Another thing you can do is to say, okay, you know what? You are now going to be the manager. And here's what I'm going to be doing. I will be giving you 10% of the total profit we make every year. 5% of it, I'll allow you put it back to buy equity from me. And then the remaining 5%, you own it and you can spend it on whatever you want. But I want you to run this business like your own. If we carry this mentality, we will be able to attract people who are going to be loyal and faithful to the businesses we have back in Africa. But for you to think just because you've given money, you're paying their salary, now you expect them to be loyal, right? It's not going to work like that. It's not just going to work like that. Are we learning, guys? Are we learning? Okay? But don't shut down the business you have in Africa because you have decided to relocate. I heard this quote and I learned it from my pastor. Only a fool throws away their winning ticket. I want everybody to write it down. Only a fool throws away their winning ticket. Only a fool. I want everybody to type it. Every one of you watching this, type it. Only a fool throws away their winning ticket. If you've been able to build a business back in Africa, the business is doing well, it is foolishness to throw it away. That business is your winning ticket. You don't throw it away. You figure out a way to continue to make the business work, whatever you need to adjust, whatever you need to tweak, while you come and take this risk called Japa, because it's a risk. It's important to know that not everybody has made it trying to relocate. Not everybody has relocation worked for. Some people, their biggest regret in life is that they relocated. I met a man who had just returned to Nigeria. Okay, he's lived in America most of his life. And we had a conversation with him. I remember asking him what he thinks about his life. He lived in America for 25 years. I remember he said, that is one of my biggest regrets. He said his first marriage had a child, and he took the child to America as a teenager. And his second marriage in America, they had 3 more children, became 4. And he said to me, I'm in my 50s, I could die anytime because he has health issues. He said, but you know what? If I die today, none of those children will even come to Nigeria to come and bury me. He said, I have a lot of regrets. Because what's the point? I decided to travel. I decided to have my kids, in America, but they don't even have my African values. The African value that makes you respect your parents, that makes you want to take care of your parents, that make you want to come back home and bury your parents in a dignified way and pay respect to your family. So all those values, my children did not learn them because they live in America. He said, so I'm having to take, and he said my wife in America wasn't willing to relocate back when I decided to come back. Okay? He said, so I'm having to remarry a new person and probably raise another children. Let's hope I have a long life so that at least I can have a child that will bury me. I think that's something for you to think about. See, today I've made up my mind. I'm not raising my children in America. Those of you who know me, you know that. Right? Primary school, secondary school, even the first degree will still be done in Nigeria. They can come do their masters here in America. We always do Easter, Christmas, New Year here in America with my kids. They always come in around for vacation. But they're not going to grow up here. Right? Everything about Africa is not bad. Everything about Africa is not bad. Some things are still good. And don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Right? Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. I have seen people lose their home. I've seen people lose their marriage. I've seen people lose their children because of this traveling abroad. Right? I've seen children. I was still discussing with a pastor friend of mine. There's this young lady who volunteered at my event 2021. She's a member of his church. I met the parent when I went to their church. And what I see her post on social media today, it's obvious that she's gone. And I was discussing with the pastor. He said, even him is tired. That since she entered university, she was just a different person. You just know these are just not the values, right, that she was raised with. But she's in America. There's nothing anybody can do. Okay? She's in America. Even the parent, she's over 18. The parent can't do much. You say much, she can call the police on you, right? And let you know that I'm an adult. You can't control me. So guys, okay, I love you genuinely and I've shared what has worked for me. I've been able to grow my businesses to 4 continents without losing my family in the process. Without losing the business that I used to start, that I started back in Africa. I've not lost them. Our business is still growing in Nigeria. Of course, there are challenges in business generally. But our business in Nigeria is still growing. Our business in Dubai is growing. Our business in the UK is growing. Same way we're expanding aggressively. $200 million expansion here in America. We're raising $200 million now for our real estate expansion here in America. One of our estates is a 99-acre. We're building massive massive of 400 unit commercial mixed use. Another one we're doing 89 units, 3-bedroom in Richmond, Texas. Another 24 unit in Tidwell, right? We have a massive office, $1.6 million. And we're building another office complex opposite where our current office is in Katy. So massive expansion, but we're able to do the expansion without losing our family, without losing the businesses we built back in Africa. And that's my prayer for you. And that's why I'm doing this series. This is part 1. Hopefully tomorrow or next tomorrow we'll continue with part 2. And my joy will be that a lot of you want to relocate, can relocate in a safe way. And some of you relocated, but you want to come back home. We'll still cover that in the series. How do you relocate back to Africa in a dignified way so that you don't come back again to Africa and you're regretting that the lifestyle, where to even live. I remember meeting a woman who had spent over 30 years in London and she wanted to return back to Nigeria. And then she went to buy land, and guess where she bought her land? Abule Egba. And I remember saying to her, I said, no, Abule Egba is not going to be good for you. If you're going to relocate back to Nigeria, you need to live in an estate environment that is safe. As a place like Omole Phase 1, Omole Phase 2, Magodo. These are places where you will still have the semblance of safety that you used to have in some of this developed world, right? Or if you're extremely wealthy, then you want to go to some of the estates in Ikoyi, So I had to explain some of these things to her. But sometimes if you don't get the proper training, you can do it either way wrong, right? You can either Japa in the wrong way, or you can Japada in the wrong way. And what this training is about, that's what we call it the innovative way to Japa or Japada as a professional or as an entrepreneur. Okay? How many of you really, really got value? Just type value, 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 value. Okay? If you were here since I started over an hour ago and you really, really got value, can you just type, I got value, 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 value. Come on, I want to see you type that. I've shared this with you. Those of you who follow me well. Gratitude is something we must learn as Africans. You see, Africa lack heroes because we don't celebrate them. It's when they die that we then start this long talk about how we wish, how this, how that. When people are alive, we don't celebrate them. We don't tell them to their faces, this is what I appreciate about you. This is what I admire about you. This is what you do that I like. This is what, we don't say it to them. And for me, it's one of the things we need to work on. We need to correct as a people. We need to build the new culture to be able to appreciate people when they've done something good. So this is a free training, just added value to you guys. It's wisdom to say some thank you, right? It costs you nothing. And we must build our culture as a people. Okay, it's only when things go bad we talk. When things are good, we don't say anything. I know people who have invested in our company for 3 years. They got money, they got value. They will never say anything. They'll never say anything positive or, But the day there is a delay in something, okay, you suddenly see the same people come and start complaining. They will call everybody callable. Oh, I did this with Dr. Stephen's company. Oh, his people have not done this for me. And I'm like, okay, for all the time they did things right, did you even acknowledge it? If we want to grow Africa businesses, we must learn to acknowledge the good things. Okay, not only when things are bad that we are ready to blackmail and go everywhere. Okay, very important. Okay, having said that, if you have questions, I'm willing to take your questions. Okay, any question? Any question? I saw some of you put up a request. you want to ask question, that's why you sent the request. Okay. If you have questions, I can take questions for another 10, 15 minutes and then we'll call it a wrap. By the way, all of you are thanking me. Thank you again for thanking me. I appreciate that. Is the course recorded? I'm going to save it on this page. You can, those of you who came late, you can go watch it all over again. So I will save it on this page. So if you're not following me, you better follow me so that you can watch it. I'm aware some of you joined us late, so you did not watch it from the beginning, which is okay. Okay, I'm trying to. Please, when are you going to have your next real estate masterclass again? My real estate masterclass is holding is holding in January. So you can register, but it's virtual. Only those in Houston can attend physically. So it's holding on the 4th and 5th of January 2025. And it's online. Except if you are based in Houston, then you can come to our office physically for it. Okay. But there's no more real estate investment masterclass in Nigeria. That will be physical. It's just online. You can attend online. We are no longer doing physically, it's online now. Yes, sir. How do you ask a mentor who is a business who you are helping to build for equity? I don't know what you mean by that question. How do you ask a mentor whose business you are helping to build for equity? You shouldn't be the one to ask them. You should be the one to think of it. Don't build your own. You can't be telling someone to give you equity in their businesses. It's me that can advise such people. Or God talk to them. Can pray to God to touch them. Or collect your salary and go and build yours. Or join them to learn how you can do your own too. But don't put your eye in other people's business and be wishing they give you equity. If they give it to you, thank God. But you shouldn't be the one asking people to be giving equity. Call the person a mentor. The mentor doesn't owe you equity. The mentor doesn't even owe you salary. The mentor, it means I want to learn. A mentor is to just teach me how to fish, how he did it, so that I can do my own too. Right? That's your business with mentors. It's just to learn how they did it, so you can do yours. But it's not an equity relationship. It's not to covet to take what they have. That's not meant to be. Question, sir. How are you able to manage all your businesses in different countries to ensure everything is going well? Well, a lot. Corporate governance. So we have a lot of advisory board, we have consultants. We had to, we spend a lot on training to make sure the people that runs our businesses are very capable and have built trust with them over time. So most of the people who work in our businesses know that I care about them. I wish them well, and I'm not selfish. And when they're able to bring good money, they get a cut in every income that comes in for the company. So things like that are very helpful. People are going to go extra mile for your business if they know that there's something in it for them. The problem most times is that people come into our organization and there's nothing in it for them, like I told you earlier. And so it makes it difficult for them to be loyal. Okay. I can't see your face. So who is the person who just joined now? It's just blank. Can you exit, please? Okay. If you can exit, because it's just blank, I can't see your face. Harold Farm said for those relocating under skilled routes that won't allow us to have our businesses till we get our residency. What do we do? I already mentioned that. Go and watch it from the beginning. I mentioned three things those who are relocating professionally should do before they even relocate that will position them for success. I mentioned that. So go watch that again. Um, Tosin Paul Elijah says, my question is not based on this training. Can I ask? Go ahead and ask Tosin. Ipechi David says, how do we approach or access mentors? The one I tried doesn't respond. I tried email and DM. Yes, he won't respond now because he has his own life and business too. The best way to approach a mentor is through a gift. I've shared that briefly. Okay, don't approach anybody you want to mentor you as though they owe you. They don't owe you. So try to offer something. Try to bring value to the table. Okay, when you bring, nobody can reject value. Okay, some of my mentors that you see today, many of them didn't charge me, but I use gifts. How many of you watched my interview, The Billionaire Habit with Dr. Cosmos Maduka? It's on my YouTube. Go and watch it. You will learn the answer to that. Because I asked Dr. Cosmos, why do you like me, Stephen Akintan? And he told you that. Okay, so go watch that interview. That interview will even give you an idea. So there are a lot of ways you can build good relationship with mentors. You can earn their trust. You can, get them to be on your side. But you have to be willing to also learn how this thing works, right? People don't just wake up. They also have their own life. They have things they do too, right? They have visions too. So like Dr. Cosmos said, a gift is a distraction for a king. A gift is a distraction for a king. So you must understand reality that, yeah, great people, great mentors, but they have their lives too. So figure out a way to make it look like you're also adding value. It's not just you just want to take from them. Don't be a parasite. Make it win-win. Gap Strength says, good morning, doctor. I studied microbiology. Is there a certain certification on microbiology, or should I go for a certification program or on nursing? So first thing, I want you to, figure out. I'm not the one to tell you what to go and do. Let's say you want to relocate to the UK. It's not my job to tell you, oh, become a nurse. That's what most people tell you. But that's not always true because there's so many things you can be. And sometimes what you can be has nothing to do with what you study. For example, I studied microbiology first degree, but I'm a digital marketer today. My postgraduate diploma was in digital marketing, right? The other programs I then went for were on real estate, right? So imagine from microbiology. So I had to sit down and analyze, okay, I studied microbiology first degree, but how much can I even make from being a microbiologist? What's the future of microbiology? What's my chances of being financially free in microbiology? And I realized there's none. Okay, and so real estate, digital marketing was my first route, followed by real estate. And I have no regret today. So the same for you. You need to do your research. Okay, I studied microbiology, but outside microbiology, what are some of the highest paying jobs in the UK? Let's say you are in the UK, right? What are some of the highest paying jobs in the UK? And then you study and study, you see, oh, project manager. Okay, being a project manager. Okay, how do I get certification in project management? Do you see that now? So suddenly, yes, your first degree is microbiology, but now you're a certified project manager. And particularly if you go into the IT route, and it means you can now be project manage an IT project, right? You'll be shocked that instead of struggling as a nurse with £2,000 a month, you can get an IT job that gives you between 8,000 to £10,000 a month, and that turns your life around. And you just only need a certification job, a certification of 3 to 6 months, and that just turns everything around for you. So that's what we're talking about. Kolade Duro Dollar says, as a new developing realtor, is it advisable to relocate to study real estate program? Yeah, but you need to be a licensed realtor so you can do an online program and write certification to be a licensed realtor in the US. Okay, but you don't need a certification for Canada, but for UK to be a realtor in UK, there is certification. So you can go for informal conferences and seminars on real estate in the UK. Why not? So you can do all of that. Tosin Paul Ajayi says, I've been following the Cosmos for a while now. Maya, your lifestyle so much. How can I multiply first millionaire? I don't want to misuse it as I'm still building myself. Go for training. 4 million naira, 1 million naira is a small money, right? Particularly with the devaluation of the naira. Naira is useless now. So you want to invest that in learning, education, in exposure, so that you increase your chances of making more millions. So if for example, I made my first 1 million as I'm just giving an example as a farm doing catfish farming, then I will ask myself what program that can, grow my catfish business. Can I go study? So that I learn even further more about catfish business. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. S. Oladiran says, Doctor, please, what's the best way I can start real estate in Canada? The best way is to go for a real estate certification program, right? I don't know how Canada works, but I guess it's like US. So maybe you need to even become a licensed realtor. Okay, if you're already a licensed realtor, who are the realtors that made the highest money last year? Are you aware that realtors who make as much as $5 million a year, $10 million a year, $20 million a year? Are you aware? So do those realtors do seminars and courses and conferences just like I do? Attend it. Right? Some of us make this thing look as if it's complex, but it's not. Right? Attend the programs of those who have broken the rules, who have achieved better things than you, and learn from them. And you just make the job a lot easier for you. Okay. We're going to stop here. You got enough value. Please share this video with more people. Copy this link, post it across our platform. It's a series we're doing. This is just part one on innovative Japa or Japada for professionals and entrepreneurs. Let's educate our people. I want this to go viral. It's just to help our people, give our people the right information, and make sure we end this circle of madness with the diaspora. Somebody said if you want to hide a tape from a black man, put it in a book. When you look at how people are struggling, if you want to end racism among black people, you have to end poverty among our people. There's too much poverty. And sometimes we even travel and we're still struggling. So these are things we want to look into. And let's trust God. His mercies and his help. Okay. Hope you God value. And God bless you.